All right, so for those of you going to a military junior college next year or who are considering being going to one to be an Army ECP ROTC cadet, you might be wondering how you can prepare for military school or prepare for Army ROTC. So my argument is that you don't necessarily prepare for the specifics of ROTC or the military school prior to going. Some people might disagree with that, but I would argue that it's better to just have good habits as a person and be a disciplined person showing up, and that will just translate well when you get there. So when I went, I didn't know anything about the Army. I had no military background. I learned everything on the fly as I got there. But what I did have was really good habits as a person, and I was really disciplined, just individual going into that school. And I think that's more how you prepare for military school as opposed to just knowing everything about the military when you get there. So I'll give you guys a couple examples of like how to prepare your habits and just you individually as a person for a military junior college. So starting with how disciplined are you as a person? So discipline to me includes like time management, organization. So in high school, how well are you balancing school, your homework, grades, sports teams? Some of you might be on different varsity teams, and then going out with friends, enjoying life, or some of you may work or whatever. Like, how good are you at balancing all those things and organizing everything? So you're not only participating in all those things, but excelling in all those areas, being the best in every single area you're a part of. If you can manage your time well and be organized to be efficient in all those things, then that translates to at the military junior college when you're balancing Army ROTC, Corps cadets, room inspections, and whatever else, PT, social life in military school. If you can do it in high school and you have a busy schedule, then you can definitely take those same habits and apply them at your military junior college. Another thing is a great way to prepare for military junior college is fitness. So just being that the time before you go, just doing all like things that you'll train for in the army. So you should be running a lot, eating well, doing a lot of calisthenic stuff, and then also looking. You should look into the other things on the Army PT test like deadlift, push-ups, sprint try carry. There's ways you can prepare in the weight room for military school too, and also just being a fit cadet in general is good, especially in the beginning when you're like a new cadet and you're kind of not getting hazed, but going through like the initiation process. They keep you really busy on your feet all day. You move at a high tempo, so you want to be able to endure all that, and not only endure it, but it looks really good to just be uh, one of the fittest cadets. So that's something entirely in your hands and your power. So I would say train your body as best as you can prior to going to military junior college. So when you get there, the fitness stuff isn't an issue whatsoever. You can endure that high tempo, and also it's a great way to stand out immediately. If you're one of the cadets in the best shape, you'll immediately have something to your name. You'll immediately stand out. Another way to prepare is building your leadership experiences, and just building your resume with general experiences and activities in general. So like leadership. So number one is you can practice leading by example before you get to a military junior college. So for sports, right? Like if you play basketball or you play football or whatever, run track, are you the first one there to show up for practice, getting ready? Or are you the last one to leave? I know it's a cliche, but like it really is true. Leading by example. If you have that habit in high school or prior to joining the military, it's a great habit to transition into going to military junior college. That was always like one of my biggest goals when I was at military school was like before I tell people what to do, am I doing it myself? Am I really good at PT? Are my grades the best? Do I have straight A's before I tell someone that they should be working hard? So, like I said, if you're on a sports team, find ways, try to be the best on your team, try to be one of the biggest competitors, most positive people. So, if you're a captain of that team, you're not only leading people with your words, but you're leading by your example. Another thing is like if you're not really a big sports person, you could start a club in high school or be part of some church organization or just find ways to lead groups of people in whatever way you can. If it's not through sports, I feel like that's like one of the main things, the easiest things to do in high school to build that. But find other opportunities to grow in your leadership capabilities. Because when you get to military school, you're going to be in leadership positions. Army ROTC, you're going to be in leadership positions. You need to communicate with varied groups of people, people you never really met, people with attitudes you don't like. So you want to put yourself in different activities in high school where you're forced to work with different groups of people, lead different groups of people, and including people you don't like and knowing how to work with that. So when you get to military junior college, you know exactly how to cope with communicating as a leader and communicating as a leader to people you might not really necessarily favor. Um, yeah, then ultimately, so to sum everything up, don't worry about if you're going to military junior college, don't worry about preparing for the material in a sense. Don't worry about knowing how to march, knowing how to shoot, knowing all the ROTC, the drills of ROTC, or the rules and the ranks of the military. If you want to know that stuff, you want to look into that stuff, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe like you've been shooting your whole life, or like you work in the woods or something, you know how to read maps. That's great to like have those knowledge of those military disciplines before you go. But for those of you who don't know any of that, it's not a necessity. Like I said, focus on all your habits building up. Focus on being good at time management, organizing, being really fit, finding ways to lead in high school, finding ways to work with different groups of people in high school. And all those habits you build and you work on in high school will translate right into the military junior college. And as you're learning all these new things, you'll be able to balance all that stuff and just do really well with your habits, with all this new stuff you're taking in, and just apply them directly to that. So that would be my biggest recommendation to you guys. But one thing I can say for like specifically Army RTC, if there is stuff you could show up to school with that might help you, like instead of like me, I got there and I learned like all these things I had to buy from Army RTC, like headlamp for land navigation, or like warmer clothes to wear into my uniforms, simple stuff like that, waterproof notebooks, simple stuff like that. You could show up, and I'll give you guys a link to a website that like sells a bunch of Army RTC stuff. So like you could go with that stuff, and that would um, prepare you so you don't have to like get all that stuff when you're there. But other than that, focus on your habits, build them prior to going.